Hello, welcome to today's video. This is the first video in a three-part series on how to connect with your loved ones. So in this video, we're going to talk about why you'd even want to connect with your loved ones, what that means, and what it looks like when your loved ones are trying to connect with you or you're trying to connect with your loved ones. But most importantly, how you can use some of these tools that I talk about to connect with somebody that's passed away. And next week in part 2 of the series, we're going to go over some tarot spreads and oracle spreads that you can use to connect with your loved ones. So a while back, I shared a tarot spread that you could use to connect with your loved ones, and I'll link the video either in the title up here or in the description box below. But I'm doing a full series on this, so I wanted to kind of go over like all the reasons that you may want to connect with your loved ones, or maybe your loved ones want to connect with you. So let's get into the why that would happen. So one of the biggest reasons that I find that loved ones are trying to connect with you is because they're trying to console you throughout your grief. Sometimes this happens, especially right after somebody passes away. You may have dreams of them. You may be still feeling like they're alive or dreaming that they're still alive. You might also be hearing songs on the radio that were their favorites, and it's really a way of them consoling you throughout your grief. Another reason that they might want to connect with you is because they're trying to give you advice or guidance, either because you're asking for it or because they just know some things that you may not be aware of. And often when you're going through a difficult period, they may also be reaching out to you to give you some sort of comfort, to let you know that they're there with you. Sometimes they may even be connecting with you because they may want you to finish something for them. And I know that kind of sounds creepy, but I'll give you some examples of what that looks like. They may also be answering a question that you have. You may have asked a question either internally or externally, and they may be wanting to provide an answer for you. Those are some of the reasons that they may be connecting with you. Now, the reasons that you may want to connect with them are going to be your personal reasons, but often what I find with clients is that they want to connect with a loved one because they may be seeking solace, they may still be experiencing grief, they may be getting connection with their loved one or communication from their loved one and not know why, so they may want clarification about that. They may want advice. You may want advice on something that's going on in your life, especially if you're having a very difficult time in life. Sometimes that's sometimes we can look to those people that we've lost because either there were a sense of strength for us, or maybe we feel like they have an overarching view that we don't currently have. You may want to reach out to them just to see how they're doing, maybe because you really miss them, but they may also be reaching out to you because they want to let you know that they're doing okay too. So what does it look like when you're communicating with a loved one? Well, it's pretty simple. Sounds, smells, if you hear a song on the radio, if you're seeing feathers or different types of birds that remind you of your loved one. Different colors, like your loved one's favorite colors. They may come to you in dreams. They may come to you in the form of thoughts or memories. They may come to you in the form of a message through somebody else. So somebody else, you may be talking to somebody else and they may bring your loved one up, or they may share a memory of your loved one, which will spark something for you. They might communicate to you through writing. So you may be seeing a special phrase or hearing a special phrase that your loved one was famous for saying. Or there may be like a slogan or a store that maybe your loved one really liked, or maybe you're seeing the same year over and over again through numbers. It's a really popular way for your loved ones to connect to you, is going to be through a lot of angel numbers. So if you see repeating numbers all the time, like 333 or 1111, it may come to you while you're journaling, or doing some automatic writing, or even in morning pages or writing in your diary. They may come through you through all sorts of ways because they're really coming to you when the veil is thin, when your defenses aren't all the way up, and what will really happen is that they're going to come to you through the path of least resistance. So through the way that you're allowing it the most, whatever's easiest for you. So I've dreamt my dad a handful of times, and really the times that I've dreamt my dad, I can really recall what I was doing, where I was at in life, and those sorts of things. But this year, my mom passed away. Actually 33 years to the date that my father died. So they both died on January 31st, my dad in 1989 and my mom this year. And what's interesting is that this year I have dreamt my dad so many times, probably more times in this year I've dreamt my dad than I've ever dreamt him since he's been dead. And I've been dreaming my mom and my dad together this last month and a half. And it's really interesting to me. It's also one of the reasons that I wanted to create this series, because I wanted to let you guys know what it looks like when your loved ones are trying to communicate with you, or when you're trying to communicate with your loved ones. So personally, I communicate with both my mom and my dad through a few different ways. One of those ways is through tarot. So after my mom died, I want to say shortly after my mom died, I started pulling one card for mom's guidance and one card for dad's guidance. And it was really a beautiful thing for me to bond and connect with them that way, because I was able to then write about it in my morning pages and kind of write what that message in the tarot was from my mom or my dad, or the guidance for that day. But I had always written to my dad in morning pages. Once I started realizing that I could communicate to my dad through morning pages, I did it whenever I really needed to get some solace or get some advice about something. Usually with my dad, it was advice about things. Sometimes my dad would just come through, and in morning pages, if you guys don't know what that is, that's where you write 3 pages of just whatever comes to your mind first thing in the morning. And so in these 3 pages that I would write, sometimes I'd start writing in Spanish, and I knew it wasn't my thoughts and my train of thought, because one, it was coming out in Spanish, which isn't my first language. English is my first language. And so for me to write in Spanish, not that writing in Spanish is difficult, but for me to write in Spanish, it isn't something that I normally do. So I knew that was my dad, but also my writing gets really different. Like it gets really small and like really tilted and slanted, and that's not normally how I write. And so I knew that was my dad coming through. But also I communicate with my dad through breath work. I've communicated with my grandparents through breath work too. And I didn't really even know my grandparents that well for me to communicate with them, but they've come to me through breath work. So it's another way that you can communicate. But again, these are ways where the veil is thin, where you're in this space of where you're removed from your thought process. You're a little bit more automatic, and in that automatic state is where my parents can connect with me. So I'll just share a few examples of what it looks like when your loved ones are trying to communicate with you, or how you can communicate with your loved ones, and how it personally happens with me. So shortly after my mom died earlier this year, I was seeing nothing but yellow, and I've never seen so much yellow in my life. And yellow was my mom's favorite color. And so in my mom's last wishes, she wanted to be buried in a brand new yellow dress. And so I wanted to honor her and wear something yellow at her funeral. Not too loud, but just like something kind of understated, like a yellow shawl. And so I was looking everywhere for a yellow shawl. And I walked into so many stores, and I've never seen so much yellow jackets, yellow sweater, yellow pants, yellow blouses, yellow shawls. Like I saw them everywhere. So I had no shortage of that. And not only that, I was seeing yellow everywhere. And even the morning that she died, I was driving to work, and I saw this car that cut me off, and it was a buggy. It was like a blue bug. And on the back of it, it said Yellow Rose in the license plate. And so the license plate was one of those like vanity license plates that said Yellow Rose. And then on the back of it, it had like a little heart, like a blue heart, and it said rescue. And I believe that's when my mom was getting ready to pass away, because it was maybe a few hours later that they called me from the hospital. So those are ways that she was connecting with me, I think, right when she was passing away. The other thing that happened was this really beautiful thing that I think to honor my mother, which was we were able to pray the rosary for her 9 days straight. And the way that this happened is, I think, her trying to communicate to me that she needed something to get finished for her, because I'm no longer a practicing Catholic, even though I'm confirmed. I did all the steps that it took to become a Catholic. We were raised that way, and I went to catechism school and all of those things, got my first communion, all of the things you're supposed to do to become a certified Catholic, or I don't know if it's a certified Catholic, but confirmed Catholic. So basically, even though I'm a confirmed Catholic, I don't normally practice Catholicism anymore. But when I was at her bedside, I started praying because I knew that that's what she wanted. And so I was praying the Hail Mary and the Our Father, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was just laying in bed, and I was like, oh my God, was I saying those prayers right? And so I looked them up, and I looked them up on Google just to see if I was saying the Our Father and Hail Mary right. And of course I was. I mean, you don't get years and years worth of prayers drilled into you just to forget them in your 40s. But turns out I was saying them right. But then I saw something else that said the rosary, and then I realized that we were supposed to pray the rosary. And so I texted my brothers and my sisters. We had this group text going on, and I texted all of them, and I was like, hey, we're supposed to pray the rosary for 9 days, or else mom's soul is going to stay here on earth, because that's the belief in the Catholic religion. And so it was such a beautiful thing because we were able to do it. But I feel like that was my mom communicating with me. And just because that thought that came up, again, here's an example of the way that a thought can be a communication. So the thought comes up, I Google it, and then I find out that we're supposed to pray the rosary. Again, this is something that she wanted in her living life. She did actually want that. But when you're going through grief and you're just like in the shock of, your mother passing away, it's kind of hard for you to remember all the things that you're supposed to do, right? And so our loved ones can come to us in these kinds of ways, in thoughts, in prayer, wake you up in the middle of the night so you can help them finish something that's important to them. I'm getting goosebumps even saying that right now, because I know that she wanted us to finish that for her. Another thing that you're supposed to do, according to my mom, was you're supposed to light a candle for the dead, and you're supposed to light a candle for them, again, for 9 days, again, to pray for their soul. You're also supposed to do other things. I think you're supposed to put water out, which I didn't put water out, but other people in my family did. But anyways, I had these candles, and I kind of created like a little altar for her above my fireplace. And so it's pictures of her, picture of our family with a rosary necklace, and a few candles. And some of those candles that I had up there were the battery operated flameless candles. And on the 9th day, I was writing in my morning pages, I bless and release you, Mom. I bless and release you, Mom. I bless and release you. And so I was blessing and releasing her. And then I took my dog, Mr. Rocky Lobster, out for his walk. And when I came back, the flame was out. And again, that's a way I believe that my mom was using to console me. So they'll use all kinds of ways to console you. On my birthday, I went for a nice walk. I took myself out on a walk because I hadn't been going for walks or anything like that except to take the dog. But one of the things that I really love to do is to walk in nature and do an appreciation walk for about 2 to 3 hours. I hadn't done one of those in a long time. So I went out to do that, and I went to this beautiful park, and I just saw so many yellow butterflies and so many yellow birds and so many yellow flowers. And again, I feel like that was my mom reaching out to me and saying, hey, it's okay, it's okay, I'm okay, and so I believe that that's how your loved ones can reach out to you too. These are stories that are personal to me because this is how I had a relationship with my mom. My mom knows that I am very, very interested in colors and what colors symbolize. She knows that I'm also very interested in numbers and numerology. I was seeing lots of 333, 111, 1111, especially after her death. I was seeing a lot of that. Also, I was seeing 77, which is the year of my birth, but also how old my mom was when she passed away. I was also seeing 33, which is the year that my mom was when I was born, or which is how old she was when I was born, but also the number of years between her death and my father's death. And so my mom knows. She knows that she can reach to me in numbers. She knows she can reach out to me in colors and birds and plants, because she knows that I really love to walk in nature. And so they're going to reach out to you whichever way is easiest for you to understand. Those are stories that are personal to me. How do you think a loved one would communicate with you, or what ways would be easiest for your loved one to communicate with you? And if you have a story, please go ahead and write it in the comments, because I think when we're able to see examples of what it looks like for other people, then they can then also start connecting the dots for themselves, and then they can also connect with their loved ones if that's something that they want to do. So moving on to how that looks for you if you want to connect with a loved one. There's really 5 steps that you need to remember when you want to connect with a loved one. And that is: get grounded, get protected, get still, ask your question, and listen. Because when you do all 5 of those, you can allow the veil between the subconscious and the conscious to thin. You can allow the veil between physical and non-physical to thin. So let's get into some examples of what that looks like for you. So step 1, getting grounded. What does that even mean? So you can do that by doing some deep breathing, by centering yourself, by just remembering who you are, by really connecting your roots to this place, here and now, in reality. Because when we connect to people that have passed away, it can really pull us out of who we are if we let it. So you really want to get grounded so you can get connected. So you can do a centering meditation, you can do some deep breathing or some breath work. You can really take yourself out in nature and really remember your surroundings, remember where you're at, who you are, and who you are in this moment, and really stay present with that. Then you want to get protected. Getting protected is super important. It's as simple as maybe just imagining some white light around you, protecting your loved ones. You can even ask for permission to connect with your loved one if you're not sure if they want to connect with you or not. Then once you're grounded, once you've protected yourself, so you want to get still. And then you want to ask the question, and then you want to listen. So you can get still and grounded in many ways, but one of my favorite ways to get still is through conscious connected breathing, or even integrative breathing. Because what happens when you're doing conscious connected breath work or integrative breath is you're really allowing your subconscious to kind of rise, because then your conscious mind, the mind that's always thinking, mind that's always trying to solve the problem, that kind of takes a backseat, because you're giving it something to do. You're giving your logical mind something to concentrate on, which is the cycle of breath work, or the breathing in and out. And you're allowing yourself to really let the subconscious mind rise and kind of like break that veil, to break through that pattern thought that you may have going on. And it allows you to focus on something else, allows your logical mind to focus on something else, so that your subconscious mind can kind of rise to the top and allows that connection to happen. You can also do this by taking walks in nature, because again, you're walking, your body's doing something, it's preoccupied with something, and then so what is underneath the surface can rise. You can do this while you're driving, even, because when we're driving, again, our mind and our body is focused on something else. And so the subconscious mind can rise through and really allow that communication to happen. You can do this through meditation. Again, when we meditate, we give ourselves something to focus on. There's a central point of focus. So typically, for me in meditation, my central point of focus is my breath, the way it flows in, the way it flows out, the way my body responds to the shifts and changes that happen while I'm breathing, that happen while I'm focusing on that one thing. But your focus in meditation can be something completely different. But again, it allows your body to still and to give it something to focus on. You can do this through writing, either morning pages or automatic writing, where you just start writing. In morning pages, usually when I connect with my parents, it's not till that third page, because I've gotten all the junk out, I've gotten all the things out, and once I've gotten all the things out, then my mind is more free, like all the processing thoughts, those come out. And so again, you're looking for things that take you out of the thinking mind and allow your subconscious to rise. For some people, they can do that when they're running, when they're exercising, when their mind is focused on a task. For some people, that's gardening. For some people, that is doing some crafts or creating jewelry, which has happened to me before too. I get like psychic downloads when I'm making jewelry. Again, these mundane tasks, these tasks where we're really involved in something and our logical mind is really preoccupied with that, that's when our subconscious mind can rise to the top and really allow us to connect in those ways. In your dreams, you can even, if you're in your dreams, if you're having dreams about your loved ones that have passed away, you can, as soon as you wake up, write that dream down and really write it down, and just write whatever comes to your mind, write whatever you remember, and then go back later and take a look at that and see if there's any messages that have come through from your loved ones that you can decipher later on. If you're not sure, you can always look up the meaning of dreams and really pay attention to how you felt. You really want to pay attention to the emotion that you had and what the situation was around the emotion and what that reminds you of. If there is a feeling or a thought or a memory that comes through about your loved ones, typically that's them connecting with you or giving you an answer. You ask the question and then you listen. You listen for the answer. And so listening for the answer can mean not just by using your ears, but also using all of your senses. What are the colors that were important to your loved ones? What are the plants, the animals that were important to your loved one? What are the songs, the movies, the commercials, the sayings that your loved one had? What are those things that your loved one really appreciated in living life, or that really remind you of them? Really keep a lookout for those things. Keep a lookout for those as confirmations. You can also ask a question. You can ask a general question or ask a specific question. I've definitely asked specific questions for my loved ones to answer, and I've had a response, and I'm like, okay, that is too much of a coincidence for me to pass that up and say that that wasn't them answering me. So you can ask a specific question and ask for a specific way for them to respond. You can say something like, show me a yellow flower, or show me a white rose, or show me whatever the symbolic thing is. Show it to me and I'll know that that means yes. Show me this flower, show me pennies, show me feathers, show me butterflies, show me this bird. Let me know that that's how you're communicating with me, or let me know that that's the answer to the question that I'm asking. Or don't show it to me and I'll know that that means no, or stop me before I'm gonna make this choice. You can ask them in a general way. Show me in some way in the next 24 hours that this choice that I'm making is right. Or show me in some way in the next 48 hours that this is the wrong choice. And you really want to be open. Just because you may not see like a flower or a rose or the sign that you asked for in real life doesn't mean you didn't actually see it. Pay attention to cars, pay attention to billboards, pay attention to the TV. If you watch TV, pay attention to in any way, if somebody's talking about it, if somebody brings you a message, often our loved ones will communicate to us through other people. Sometimes we are just not in the space, or maybe not even open enough to hear the message that's coming through. So they may have to get us the message in a different way. Now that's happened with me plenty of times. So I have delivered messages for my friends from their loved ones, people who I've never met before. And they've come to me and they've showed me things, and I'm like, I don't know why they're showing me, for example, a rocky mountain. I don't know why they're showing me a rose garden. I don't know why they're showing me a beach house. I mean, these are all real examples of what has happened, of people who I've never met before in my life, who I never had any interaction with, that showed me certain things. Now, I may have misinterpreted the reason that they were showing me that and took it as something, but then when I relate it to my friend, it made perfect sense to them. So really listen to maybe what other people are saying, especially if you ask a question and you're not looking for a specific result and you're going to be general about it, then you have to be a lot more open. You can ask again in morning pages, in journaling, in automatic writing. You can ask in your dreams. So like right before you go to bed, if you have a question for a loved one, right before you go to bed, keep that question in your heart and say, you know, I know in my dreams you're going to help me, or you're going to come to me, or you're going to communicate this to me. And I'm going to wait for you in my dreams. And then when you wake up in the morning, just write about what happened in your dreams, if you can remember them. If not, just be open. Let the messages come to you, because again, they're going to come to you through the path of least resistance. So really allow yourself to be open. One of my favorite ways by far is through tarot spreads. And so I already shared with you that right after my mom died, and still even to this day, I'll pull a couple of cards, one for my mom's advice and one for my dad's advice. And usually it's just advice of the day. Sometimes it's advice on something else that I have going on. And so if it's specific advice, then I usually do a spread. And so if this interests you, then you'll want to come back next week for part 2 of the series, where I will share some tarot spreads and oracle spreads that you can use to connect with your loved one. But as always, I'd love to hear from you. How did this resonate for you? Do you have any stories of your own of how your loved ones have communicated with you? Or do you have any favorite methods that you use for communicating with your loved ones? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.